15 years.
15 years.
I cannot believe that today we celebrate 15 years of marriage. You've literally been with me almost half my life. How in the world have we made it this far?
What, 21, 22 years of friendship?
22, this year 22 of friendship.
Yeah.
You threw me my 21st birthday party.
Yeah.
In 2002. And I think we met October 2001. So this will be year 22. We've literally grown up together. We've literally grown up together. So from your lens, from your perspective, how did all this get started? Like, how did we end up here? How did it begin? What's your beginning story?
So we met in a church. The pastor had called me to do a revival at that time. I had a singing group, and you were the youth pastor there. And so we came. We were only supposed to be there one night. And, we cooked it up so good. Glory to God. They asked us to do the remaining of the week. And you were staring at me so hard until my friends was like, don't look up now, but he watching you. I said, the guy that's flooding, your pants is long today, but the day we met, not so much. And we went out to eat. I was bossy. I will own that part. You were staring, so I said, you're gonna take me and all my friends, and we wanna go to IHOP. We wanna take your car, and the rest is history.
I think that everybody has their different recollections of what happened.
Yeah.
And I think, your piece is your reality. That's how you remember. But we do know, memories can get skewed over time. Time can pass, facts get convoluted with our rendition of history. Here's what I remember. I remember the revival was a church service. Midweek, it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday revival. I remember when they called you all in to lead worship for that service. I remember very vividly hearing you open your mouth and sing for the first time. And I remember being captivated even then by your voice. There was something in your sound even then that captured my attention. I can't really put words on it. So if I was staring, which I probably was, I don't.
It's only taken you 20 years to admit
I don't quite remember the stare, but if I was staring, it was because there was something in your voice even then that caught my attention. I couldn't look away even when I tried. I don't even remember who preached that night, but I remember who sang. Like I don't remember who gave words. I barely remember who else was there, but I remember you. And I do remember it wasn't night one after revival. I think it was like the second or the third night when I got bullied into taking you.
When I said I was bossy.
I got bullied into taking you and your friends to IHOP. I was driving a 1995 Chrysler New Yorker.
Yeah.
The thing was huge.
Yeah.
It's a dad car, but it helped you and your friends. All your little friends got in there.
It did.
Right? Driving this Chrysler New Yorker, and I remember driving to IHOP, and y'all sat us real funny in the booth. They sat us where we were actually sitting across from each other. And I remember I got up and went to the bathroom, came back. Y'all were whispering about me. I heard it in the spirit. The Holy Spirit said, "They talk about you." I heard, y'all were whispering about me, and one of your friends put me on the spot and said, "Which one of my friends do you like?" I'll never forget that. That was the first time I've been hemmed up by 5 women in one spot to try to put me on the spot to see who it was I wanted. And from that moment on, I don't think I can remember how few days there's been since you haven't been a part of my life in one respect or another.
And you did words of exhortation that night, and I said, man, this young guy is powerful. And I never, in that moment, of course, we had just met. I never saw down the road, we would get married. But that night, I always knew you would do something great. And I think shortly thereafter, after friendship began to bud quite quickly between us. At that time, though, I had a man. So I wasn't looking for anything romantic.
Well, I think we need to, as you say that, we need to, as serious of a conversation as this is, we probably need to be really honest. You kept a man. It wasn't like you just had a man at this moment and in this season. Mm-hmm. Your life was always stocked with a man. I just want to be clear. That's why I had to find my entry points. Didn't know when, how, or when things would blow up. I had to get in when I could get in. Man wasn't the issue.
That's true. But I remember we were in the parking lot of the church, mm-hmm. and I began to speak to who I knew you would be, whether I was in your life in one way or another. I knew the greatness that was on your life. And I think the beautiful thing is to see it unfold. And what I got to see in that parking lot, now I get to see it firsthand, now that we're married. Didn't think I would see it this way. I think I even remember a lady prophesied to us.
She did, and we got so upset.
She said, if you all could realize that your purpose is tied together, you all would save each other so much heartache, because that is your wife and that is your husband. And I said, this lady is a quack.
Phineka,
that's what I said. Is that not what I said?
We were both in two separate relationships at the time.
Yeah.
You was in love.
I was in like.
I was in like love. And the timing of the word couldn't have been at a worse time. Yeah. And it was, I think we both were in denial.
And I think I maybe was like 22, 23. Mm-hmm. So that put you at like 21?
19, 20, somewhere in there.
So you that much younger than me? But okay. But keep it cute.
So let me ask you this. Do you remember who kissed who first?
I want to say that you kissed me first, but I think I sat with it not too long ago, and I think I kissed you first.
Yep, I'm glad you sat with it. I'm glad you finally came to the space to respect the fact that, same way you made the first move with the car, you definitely made the first move with
that
the
might
first
be true.
kiss.
I was in denial.
You were.
For probably till last year. The year 14. I think we really got to talking about that night, and I said, doggone it, it was me. But what was funny is we had never dated or courted in a boyfriend and girlfriend type of way. But this was the moment. My sister, I remember you called me another girl's name, and you had a few things at my apartment, and y'all, babe, I began to throw your stuff over the balcony. I mean, I went like psycho, throwing the stuff over the balcony. And then I was embarrassed by my response, because it's not, that wasn't me. I called my sister and I told her, and she said, you responded like that because you like that boy. I said, I don't like that boy. He too small. He too skinny. He ain't my type. He's a square. He just, I like the big guy. You didn't quite fit the weight requirement for me. And I said, I don't like that boy. And then about 2 days, we didn't talk. And I really began to miss your presence and your conversation.
You realize 2 days in, I really can't do it without him.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that.
You know what? I ain't gonna argue with you.
You really couldn't do it without me.
I ain't gonna argue with you.
That's why, you were very forward in kissing me first. Mm. But it was an invited kiss,
Yeah.
and this may be a part I don't think we've talked about together for a while. Like when we did kiss for the first time, we were still just friends. There
Yeah.
was no um, relationship attachment to it. I think that there was probably a mutual attraction. There was a place where we both had curiosity, but we had been in.
But I think it caught me off guard though, because I think I told myself that I wasn't attracted to you. So I think I tried to find um, every excuse. You just was not the package that I thought that I wanted or I had built in my mind, but not knowing all the time you was the right person in front of me. But because I was so caught up in that's not my type, that's not right. Not knowing then what I know now is that this was for purpose.
So I didn't fit your build a man quality. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah,
You telling me that I was the real skinny build a bear. That I didn't have enough stuffing. That
yeah,
what you're telling me is I didn't have enough fluff on the inside of my bear.
yeah,
And so I didn't meet the requirements. Well, truth is I don't think that either one of us, from that perspective, envisioned our lives going the way that they went from a relationship perspective. I think that I knew for sure that you were always going to be in my life. I knew that I had an attraction to you, but you were so busy with these, polar bears that you couldn't see the benefit of a young strapling deer. You couldn't
because you
see
know what,
the
it
lion
it was probably
cub.
another 2 years or so before you proposed. Like because I mean, like after that moment, it almost got awkward. It almost got weird. And it was almost like a thing. I was like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. Like I literally killed a friendship because I never saw it going anywhere, right? I kept saying, I'm the loud girl. I'm the ghetto girl. He's all quiet. He's more reserved. He ain't my type. I don't even know if I fit in his, in his future. So it was one of those things that I felt like who I was as a person did not agree with who you were. And so I made myself say, I didn't like you.
So I'm glad you said that just like that. Where where would you say your life was before you met me? Like, where would you define both relationally? I know we're young, but where did you see your life headed and going before this young king came into your life?
Young king. You know, I never was the girl. I always kept a man, but I never was the girl that said I would ever be married. Things that happened to me as a child, because I was motherless and fatherless, I was afraid of commitment on a more deeper level. So boyfriend and girlfriend, yeah. When it felt a little different, a little serious, I was a runner. I would cut the string and just kind of move. With you, I felt something that I had never felt as it pertained to stability. I was so used to instability and dysfunction until that was the only thing that I was attracted to. I didn't know anything that was solid. So when you came and showed something different, it really scared me. And then I kept saying, but listen, you the girl, you was told you can't have kids. You damaged goods. No man is gonna marry you. You don't wanna really explain why you can't have kids. You don't really wanna explain these things to anybody. So I think in order to protect myself, I began to fill my head with lies of why I did not think I could ever be with a man like you. And so I think where I was at that time was just kind of, you would be single and fly and traveling the world, before we talked about rich auntie. That was what I thought my life would be like. Even though secretly, deep down inside, I did desire marriage, I think, but I think that I told myself so much that I did not want it until I picked men who I knew didn't want a future as it pertains to being a husband. So when you came in, and even young, 21, 22, the way you cared about me and the things, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is weird. Let me friend zone him because this don't feel like what I'm used to. And I don't know what this is because I don't have language for it. I don't have context for it.
Yeah. So on my end, it was really by happenstance. It was by proper chance and timing that we even met. I was so bent on pastoring somebody's people at some point. Just accepted a call in the ministry. I mean, fresh ordination papers that got took from me because I got started speaking in tongues. And got kicked out the church. I just so happened to stumble into the place maybe less than a month prior to you coming, the place where we met. It was probably for me one of the most difficult moments of my life because it was me trying to understand who I was while being removed from the place that I thought I had the most understanding about who I was, and just kind of flying in a gray zone. I'll be honest and say this. I think that God sent you as part of the stabilizing package for my future. Like, I think our encounter and our friendship grounded me to the degree that kept me from going back to what I was familiar with and gave me the courage to just kind of venture into unknown spaces.
Okay, well, I didn't know we was going here because I feel like crying, but keep talking.
I'm not sure if our lives wouldn't have intersected when they did, that I would have kept on the path to the place that it's now grown to. I think that there would have been a part of my heart that wanted to please people that I love to the degree that I went back. I think God allowed you to kind of walk in a building, unassuming, and allowed me to get a glimpse of what could be. And that was probably the thing that kept me from retreating back to what was familiar.
Which is interesting because I didn't even think that I was equipped to be with a man like you. I saw myself out of one lens, and that was out of a lens of brokenness. And so I told myself I didn't want to ruin someone or ruin a guy because I did not have the goods to have anything sustainable. So when you begin to speak to even our friendship of how you felt like it changed you, and we were friends, and I said, hey, we got to get this wardrobe together though. Like, come on, man. Like, who out here dressing you? Like, are you out here shopping at Baby Gap? What we doing? And like, but even in that moment, I felt like, let me fix you for somebody who is more equipped.
And I think that's why, like, the perception of it all is so powerful, where you saw yourself from the lens of deficiency. I think I always saw you as more than enough. So your perspective allowed you to really see and understand your story, while I only had the perspective of the chapter I walked in on.
Yeah.
And walking in on a chapter, I saw a woman whose words would move a room, who could open her mouth and literally chills would go up everybody's spine, who carried such an amazing grace and presence that I was just automatically drawn to. I think as much as you say that you knew there was something special and significant about me, I think that was the part that probably drew me to you. I knew before I knew you that this is a friendship, a woman that I'll never have to worry about. Like she just got it. I think that was always my perspective. And I trusted it to the degree that I started giving you my paycheck. Like, what grown man give a woman his paycheck to go shopping every 2 weeks? Like, so cool, cut their paycheck in half to say, okay, whatever you buy is what I'll wear. And I'll never forget, I would come home, my dad would be like, who is dressing you? You look like a fool. My dad would be so upset that I'd given you that much liberty. But it's that I trusted you to that degree, like how you presented yourself, how you engaged me relationally, how you spoke to pieces of me that I felt like were not just damaged, but parts of me that I felt like would never be good enough to do what I felt like I was called to. You always spoke to those pieces. So I never had the perspective of or the lens of your backdrop.
Yeah.
I think God always allowed me to see your then or your now and your future. And that's what made me say, I could do this in a friendship forever.
Yeah. And you know, I think your family, you gave me family. Long before we were ever married, your father and your mother decided to kind of take me on, you know, right? And so fast forward, you know, I had Boo, and they decided to really wrap their arms around me and take me in as a daughter. And this was not your baby. And I could not understand that type of love. But I knew it was something that I had to get healing so I can have that for myself and for my daughter. So for that, I don't think I've ever desired family for myself until I met your family.
So with that, how would you
ain't
say...
got no handkerchief in there or nothing?
I got one for me. I'm so sorry. Your tears just gonna have to
flow. Jesus!
The makeup on point though. I mean,
well, thank you.
The least we can say.
Well, thank you.
Ain't no tear stains in the makeup. How would you say we've grown? Like you've grown as an individual, we've grown separately, but also how we've grown together. Like we've been doing this 2 decades. I mean, this is a long time. How would you say you feel like you've grown as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, business owner? Like, how would you describe your personal growth individually? And how would you say we've grown together?
I think when you met me, I was a hard woman. Hard woman in every sense. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to receive love. And I was very guarded. I wasn't trusting. I only trusted in myself, and I did not know how to be vulnerable. How I evolved with you is that you gave me a safe place to show my scars, to show my wounds, and you did not run. I thought I would show you the ugly ones, because surely, almost to the point where I felt like I needed to test you, because I needed to prove to myself that you was going to do what everybody else did if you got to know me. And so I kept kind of putting you through a series of just tests. And you wouldn't leave. And so I said, this is a person that won't leave. And since he won't leave, after seeing all of this ugliness, you have to get healed. You have to put in the work to get whole because you're going to lose something because you won't put in the work. And you were very gracious with me. Before marriage, after marriage, I still was trying to find that way because I didn't quite have a blueprint. And so then I came up with this kind of fake facade, a persona of what I thought you wanted. And you was like, girl, that ain't it. I like you with your sass. I like you with all that mouth. I like you with your spunk. I like you with the attitude. And I was able to grow and be myself instead of stifle myself. And I believe we were able to grow together because you didn't let me pretend. You wouldn't let me wear the mask. You made me unveil and bear it all. And I believe that's when we began to grow. Year 1 or 2, we was coming through that baby like a newborn baby in some heels. We was just clumsy, falling all over the place. And mainly it was me because I was trying to figure out how to fit into this world. I was used to people running out on me. And so I said, I'm going to run out. I'm going to be the one that keep my Nike shoes on. Anytime stuff got tough, oh, you don't want to be with me. Oh, I'm meant to be by myself. I did things to try to kind of push you away. Wouldn't leave you. And so I feel like we began to grow when I finally took off my running shoes. And I said, we're going to stick this thing out together because I started getting glimpses of our future.
You know, I was like that. I was like that mosquito in the summer that would come in your room, and you swatting at it, trying to get it out. And as soon as you think you didn't got things settled, here you come right back. Like I couldn't be shaken.
Yeah.
I'll say this for me as an individual, the spaces I've grown as a man, a husband, a leader, I think all have a direct connection to the fact that God gave me you. The man that I've become, the father that I am, the leader that I am, all of those things were brought out of me because of the level of connection and connectivity God gave me through our relationship. Now, there was always, and there's always been a part of me that was adventurous. I love to do and be in different spaces, do different things, but I took some chances in life, in ministry, that I probably would not have taken had it not been for you. I would have never moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was too much of a mama's boy. I would have stayed where I was close, where I was comfortable. And you pushed me to leave what I knew to discover who I was. And without a Tulsa, there's not a LaBryant Friend.
Yeah.
Like, Tulsa was the place that grew me, groomed me, gave me the opportunity to make mistakes in safe places. And it taught me how to not just be a leader, but we started our marriage in the Midwest, away from everyone and everything that we knew. Yeah. And it forced me in some respects to grow up. And from Tulsa to Chattanooga, to Huntsville, to Tucson, to Atlanta, if there's any place that I've grown as an individual, there's always an earmark, a fingerprint that you leave in that space to remind me that the reason I was graced to journey this way was because I had a Phineka friend in my corner. My individual growth with God has been significant, but all of that, the earmark of all of that is that your relationship with me and your love for me and doing it without conditions and being different from anybody I'd ever dated, being the yin to my yang, the the Kama to my sutra, the the polar opposite.
Yeah.
But with that, bringing a polarity to my life that helped me to see me from a different lens. I found courage to try. I found courage to go. I found courage to grow
Yeah.
because God put a you in my life. So there are places where I've grown individually, but then I also see where we have grown collectively. Like year one of marriage did not look like year five of friendship.
Yeah.
It was completely different. Like, thank God that we had our friendship to build on.
Absolutely.
Like, we had just went straight to relationship, to engage, to married, we would not have made it to year five. There's not a shadow of a doubt. The foundation of friends is probably the thing that has saved us in more ways than one.
But you know what? Even more than that is that I trust you. I believe in the God in you. I saw you as a 20-year-old man with an office in a closet. I would see you pray and lay out in a church when nobody was there. I saw you seek God in a way like I had never seen anybody our age. And so even when some of those scary moments came early in our marriage, what I've never not done is trust that you would obey the voice of God. And with you obeying the voice of God, even when I was like, oh, Lord, I don't know if I want to move there. I don't know if I want to go there. I knew that it was going to work out because I knew you had sought God. I don't care where we were financially, and we started off very poor. I don't care where we were. I told you when we got married, if we had to live in a car, I'd be with you because I believed in the God in you. And I would say to you then, it won't be like this always. And you said to me, if you trust me, I'll be sure it won't be like this. And from that day to this one, 15 years later, there's not one time from year 1 to 15 that you have not held true to what you told me 15 years ago.
So what do you appreciate the most out of our journey? Not just 15 years, well, yeah, in the 15 years of marriage, like what do you appreciate the most?
We did it our way. We did it our way. We both, well, I grew up with my grandparents. You had your parents. And everybody tried to tell us to be gender-specific roles. This is what you do, and this is what you do. Because I was a hard woman, nurturing didn't come natural for me. Loving came easily, but not as much as nurturing. And I watch you take on that role. And I watch you say, hey, this is how we have to be kind of with the girls, in certain spaces. And I remember one time you was keeping the girls and your dad called me and he said, you got my son babysitting and you out working? I said, his kids, what are you talking about? And in every moment when everybody was saying, this is the way y'all should do. Your folks grew up in one house their whole life. My grandparents, one house, their whole life. How many states have we been in? Nobody understood that. But I knew it was God. We did it our own way. We didn't allow family. We didn't allow friends. We didn't even allow each other to get in the way. And even when I cried moving to Arizona, I still knew it was God. Yeah.
I think for me, the part I appreciate the most is that you've been very fruitful and you've multiplied. You've been bountiful and blessing with babies.
Because first 5 years I was married, I was pregnant the first 5 years of our marriage.
You was popping out a baby every time we looked up. It was pretty frequent. Spend more time.
I don't even think you knew me unpregnant.
Spent more time at the hospital than I did my job. I appreciate
Yeah.
the fact that you've been fruitful. You obey God. You multiply and exceeding and abundant above all that we could have ever asked, dreamed, or
But you know
imagined.
what? I think even in the fruitfulness, I believe that God did something even with my womb with you because he knew what we would produce together.
So I would say, kind of with that, the part of our journey that I appreciate the most is that it has been a path that I couldn't have predicted.
Yeah.
On my best day, I couldn't have laid out the landscape to what life has been and life would become. But the part that I appreciate with that the most out of it all is that we've given each other the type of space and grace to grow, to evolve, to change, and we've kept consistent the fact that every version of each other, we've loved it authentically the way it was. Like, for instance, there was a version of you that was strictly a mother, and all you did professionally was pop out babies and keep them.
Okay.
It was at the rate you were doing it, you have to call it professional. I mean, you were pregnant 5 times in 5 years, with 3 of those being viable pregnancies. You were a pro. You were a pro. Your womb opened. Yeah. When it says the Lord opened the womb, the Lord opened the womb.
Yeah.
But there was a space of you that was a mother who grew as a nurturer, who loved your children very hard. But then there was a part where we had to release that, and you had to go into a whole nother discovery of who Phineka was, beyond just being a mama. And you went from babies to business. And you have found yourself both steerly in business and for-profit in business, rediscovering your likes, your loves, your call to people. But there's been a whole nother evolution. Like, you are not the Phineka that I met that only sang.
Yeah.
You are not the Phineka I met that was a campus leader from a teaching and preaching perspective. You're not the Phineka I married. There's a whole different version of you, but every version, you've given me the space and grace to learn and to love. Like, the part I appreciate, and the reason why I think that we still are married now is that at every turn where there's been an opportunity for us to grow and evolve, we've somehow hunkered down, did the hard work. And there's been hard work, you know what I mean? But we've been able to still fall in love with the varieties of versions that we have grown and evolved to become. So that, for me, has been the favorite. There has never been, now, and I'm going to say this, there has never been a stale moment with you. There has never
with all
been,
this fabulous
there has never been a moment where I'm like, this is so boring. There's always been an opportunity for something different to come out of it. Like, in 15 years, not 1 year's looked alike. Every year has looked different. And
I still catch you by surprise.
From time to time, not often, but from time to time, I am still caught off guard. So what do you see next? 15 years. We got 15 more years we got to put in the bag. What do you see next for us?
I see more businesses. I see more grace to love and to grow. Even as we are transitioning for small kids, and saying that we want to be sure we remember we're husband and wife first, and not mom and dad. I see us growing deeper in our love. I see us growing deeper in our faith. Um, and I'm excited about our future. I'm really excited. If we could have done this in 15 years, and I can't imagine what the next 15 years is going to look like.
Well, 15 years from now, you're going to be like mid-50s, just like like you're deep mid-50s. I'll still be early 50s.
Oh, I will be.
You will.
No, I'm going to be like late.
You be mid to late. Yeah, I'll be early mid. You'll be late.
I'll be late 50s.
But it's okay. God's still good.
I just had to think about
You did the math, didn't you?
I did the math. I said,
That math be math.
Carry the
That math be math.
Jesus.
Math be math. The next 15 years, I could see your womb opening again.
At 15, what is that, 58, 59?
Well, not that old, but by 45, I could see one more.
I'm 45 next year.
But I could see one more friend popping. Let me stop, because typically when I do this, you get pregnant, so I'm not gonna
Exactly.
do that. 15 years, I can see you as a grandma. What you gonna call
I can
yourself?
take that.
What you gonna call yourself?
Grandma for sure.
Okay, so
I won't be looking like nobody's grandma.
You'll be a grandma.
Oh,
15 years.
grandma, yeah.
15 years from now, I'm not sure where we'll be in ministry, or what that'll look like in 15 years. By then, Lael may have fully taken, over the church, and we'll just be traveling, leading people's lives, people here and abroad. I definitely see more opportunities, not just even with business, but opportunities for our life, our story, both collectively and individually, to change and impact the lives of others. There's been a collective cry for couch conversations to come back, and I'm looking forward to putting, more gas and energy on who we are collectively outside of anything within the context of just church. And 15 years from now, I can definitely see retirement from what we would call the status quo of work, and really just being able to do what we enjoy and do it well and with smiles on our face. But the biggest thing in 15 years, I can't imagine how much more I will love you 15 years from now than how I do at this 15-year mark. I will say this forever. You changed my life. The best thing God could have ever done for me was send me a Phineka friend. Through our good, our bad, our ugly, our indifferent, the best gift, God proved his love for me by sending me a you. And if you don't hear me say it enough, if you may know it but need it consistently reaffirmed, I love you. I'm grateful for you. My life is light years better than I could have ever dreamed or imagined, because God gave me a youth. Like this anniversary, 15 years in, what has made my life better is that you've been a part of it. I could not imagine taking this type of journey with anyone else. And I wouldn't change one thing. I mean, there have been moments where we're like, man, had we done this differently, or had we decided this differently? The truth is, I would not do one thing different.
I agree. I don't think, I was sitting there while you were talking, saying, man, even some of those moments, our little duplex, I don't think our little first house was 1,000 square feet, but we had so much love. We had so much laughter. And when we had nothing else, we had each other. And that is the part that I hold on to the most. That no matter in those seasons, we had a lot of change, but a lot of things that didn't. Is that I don't think in 15 years, there's not a day that we don't just gut laugh. Something funny happens. You taught me how not to hold a grudge. I get mad, Sam will go sleep in another room. You'll come down there and say, I got some popcorn. What we watching? And I think the way you have loved me in the last 15 years, but I'll say 21 years, has been so healing for me. It has been so freeing for me. And I did not know that I could be this person. And you taught me to be this person, not only in your kindness, but your grace towards me when I didn't get it right. And not one time did you ever say you didn't get it right. And I think that's the part I hold dear, is not one time, and I know I was getting it wrong, but not one time that you ever made me feel like you just kept affirming until you saw the thing that you spoke. And I think that's the part that I just can't imagine if all the things you spoke to me came to pass, what would you speak in the next 15 years that I have just even yet to dream? Who knew I would be a business owner? Who knew I would have these kids and turn out to be this type of mother? But it was you saying, you won't abandon our children. You are not your mother. You are not your past. And you speaking to those places begin to heal and form this woman, because I believe the words that you said. And I think that was the first time that had ever happened to me. And it started happening in our friendship. And now looking back, I think that's why everybody thought, like, this ain't your man? What is going on? Like the way y'all speak into each other, that has never changed over 21 years. And so for that, I thank you. Yeah.
Well, the 15 more years of picking my drawers up off the floor.
We should work on that. You tickle you. You tickle you. You tickle.
15 more years of memories, milestones, and moments to 15 more years of being able to do this thing we call life together. I'm excited to see what these next turns look like and what they take. Happy anniversary. There was a time, when we first got together, that there was a really, how would I say this? There was a refined portion of Phineka Friend, but then there was also a real hood rat version of Phineka Friend. And you learned how to suppress like that hood rat until the hood ratted you up. So I remember the Sunday that this lady came to church and she didn't have on no clothes underneath her outfit, no undergarments. There was nothing holding her together. And she was upset with her husband because she found out he was cheating on her. And he sang in the choir. And while he was singing, she kept flashing him, letting him know what he missed that he used to have.
Out of all the stories, you choose this.
I know it's a good story, but her flashing him in terms of she was flashing me. And when it was about time for preach, she got stirred up and she was ready to, rush the pulpit because, she was upset with a man. And somehow y'all got her outside. But I remember when y'all got outside, I watched you walk out the side door too. I thought it was interesting that my wife walked out of church while I'm preaching. And I find out after I finished preaching that you threatened to drag this woman up and down the street by her weave.
Yeah.
Because she kept flashing during, so like you.
Said today, you walked in the right church. I'm not your typical first lady. I am good. You want to show it, I'll drag it. And you was preaching your good side. And
I'm giving the Lord glory.
I had taken off my earrings. And they had to call the police to get
me. And for the first time, like that Sunday, your knees was Vaseline. They were shining because typically you went to church kind of ashy. You tried to have on some. Everything was greased up. I didn't even know how it got greased like that.